What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm just trying to figure out why Colin's hiding his
I'm just putting my hand
Superman's
there, just
hand.
stretching my arm out.
Look at these fucking works of art.
Stroke it.
Colin,
these killing machines.
You've been killing it lately on
I'll
the
tell you
elliptical
what,
machine.
and the Lubriderm.
Thanks.
Over here, this is the pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty,
Yeah.
of course. Look at how soft his skin is. Touch it.
I mean, can I touch your
You
skin?
think? Like,
Wow.
I feel my hands. My hands are fucking.
Yeah, that's
I work
like
at the dock.
sandpaper.
I work at the dock.
You
know
might as
what I
well.
mean?
You might as well be that guy from fucking
I put the
Kickboxer.
crates on the ferry and I take them off the ferry. I do whatever I need to.
I got the
out
black lung pop.
You got the black lung. You've been working here for one day.
Like, you have your hand over it. You got the. It's like remember in the old Adam West Batman when he put his hand on the bus, then pull it back, and there'd be the red button, and hit the red button, the doors
So
open, and they slide down. Become Batman. Robin. No Pure One. Tim Gettys today.
No, Tim is down in L.A. visiting
Down in
some friends.
Los Angeles.
We gave him a little vacation, a little time off.
Los
But he'll be back next week.
Yeah. So he thinks.
So he thinks.
Yeah. Big things for next
Did we
week.
vote on him? Us firing him yet?
No, that's not the big thing.
Oh, okay.
If you're listening to this and you're watching this and you're doing this thing before, what did I put it on the schedule for? Monday? I don't know. We're at GDC all next week. We're doing live
Exciting.
streams over on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. each and every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
Getting the whole thing done before we go to PAX.
Yeah,
While we're there, what we're going to be doing, this helps out the Patreon listeners, is that we will be doing the Game Over Greggy show and the Kind of Funny Games cast during the streams. So if you've ever wondered what anarchy leads up to the show and follows the show afterwards, and what we try to bleep out but won't be available to bleep out next week, you get to see. Because we'll be doing the streams, we're doing interviews with like Cliffy B, seeing new games, seeing Steve Gaynor, doing all these crazy things with these developers that are big deals, and then in the middle of them, doing our regular shows that will then break out later on as you've come to expect if you can't catch a live stream.
I'm excited about this. You told me this idea, and I said no.
No, you didn't.
Just right off the bat, I was
no,
like,
you
that's a terrible
because you
idea.
all just kept typing at your computers and didn't really acknowledge the idea. And then I pushed forward to it, and then I confirmed again today.
Yeah, you
this
did
is
it again
really
today.
happening, everyone.
And there's a part of my brain that's like, well, we should probably go look at that space to make sure all the stuff that we're promising is even close to possible. But then
It's
it's
a
like,
room.
you know what?
It's a room you can live stream, and that's all we need to know.
That's all we need to know. It'll be fine.
I'm gonna put together a little sheet that I send out to all our guests, explaining where we're at. Get there a little bit early, and also things are gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
But this is the new age. You embrace that and you don't worry about it.
It is the new
You're
age.
going to come in, you're going to sit down, you're going to start talking to Colin and I, maybe Tim, Nick, whoever. We're going to start setting up your game a few feet away. And if it's not working immediately, don't panic. We're going to sit here and talk. We're going to chat. What do we care?
About the coast.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom.
Hey, better go and goes.
That was Die Hard. He just quoted Die Hard, I know.
And you just quoted just being incredibly racist against my Italian heritage. Is that not right, Colin? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, no, you heard it. I mean,
you're being a
Greg is a full-blown racist.
He is.
So
I'm not going to worry about it so you guys put on your wife beaters, gold chains.
Make some sauce.
Come at me, yeah. Do. I'm making a sauce.
Bada
bing, bada boom, man.
Make the sauce.
I saw Don John. That was it, right? I know what happens.
I
saw Tony Danza.
one of my favorite things about The Sopranos, one of the most understated things, was when they would be in the back room of the Bing, where like they had
Bada
their,
bing.
they had like
Bada
they had like
bing.
a
Bada bing.
they had like a actually no they would be in all right, so at this place they would be in the back room of the deli that they would hang out, like the sandwich shop,
Right.
And they had like their own kitchen and like a bed and stuff like that, and they would just all be hanging out there, and there was always like one of the maid men or like one of the associates just always cooking a sausage at the stove,
always,
constantly.
yeah.
Someone was just cooking sausages all the time.
And now that I
for
live with you,
5
I know
or
that's
6
true.
years.
That's
yeah.
real. That
I
happens.
cook. I'm gonna have sausage after this.
Yeah.
And what's
You're making
funny about
sausages
that?
on Thursday.
Yep, I am.
Oh no, and your sausages are amazing, by the way. I think
Thank
you get them at Andronico's. They're great.
Oh, they're great. They're worth the pound of flesh that you have to pay to fucking get them because it's at Andronico's.
Oh, I thought you meant like
Andronico's is
It was a double.
metaphorically
is a little
speaking.
more expensive than Safeway, and Colin acts like they are charging him teeth.
It's outrageous.
Literally, the last time we went to go there, when we were still driving home at nights to do this show, Colin was like, "No, I refuse to go in there. I refuse to go." He like sat in the car.
But it happens the same way it always happens, where you go in there, you're like, "Oh, this is too expensive," and then you try to go away, and then you're like, you know what? It's quality though.
Yeah, I go
Paying
there.
for
I go there
quality.
pretty often.
Now you're getting all your meats there. You won't
Yeah, I
your
get
veggies
my
there.
meats there. They have some good breads. But
Guys,
when
the
I get
pretzel buns,
like
I'm a big fan of.
when you get anything else like a grocery, what I would consider a grocery. So let's say like some cookies, some salsa, granola. Like everything's more expensive. Like their orange juice is like 6 or 7. Are you nuts? You know what I mean? The meat's a good price, but when you get like these kind of more like you need Tropicana orange juice, you have to get like I don't know, Campbell's baked beans or something like that. Like it's always like literally 50% more than it is.
That's the
else.
big name tag.
It's absurd.
You're trying to buy the
That's
big
just
name.
this city though, man. Everywhere I go in the city, I feel like it's way too expensive. Everything's too expensive.
It is. But if you walk to Safeway down at like Noriega, then it's totally fine. You know,
I've
it's a
rediscovered
long
my
walk,
love for
but-
Safeway lately. And my wife and I go to Safeway when we need a specialty item they don't sell at like the Real Foods or like the Marina Market or any of these like smaller grocery stores that sell just kind of the bare necessities for outrageous prices. So the other day she was like, I want to get for the Oscars. We were watching the Academy Awards, and
What's that like at your house? Big deal?
it's not a big deal.
Did
but
you guys put on your
we wore tuxedos, both of us, my wife and I.
She wore a tuxedo as well.
She wore a tuxedo. Well, hers was more like a white dinner jacket. But no, we watched. We like to make a little bit of a big deal out of it. Well, she's dieting this week, so normally we have what she refers to as her Doritos time, where she has her.
Is that based on the award-winning
No,
commercial you made?
what's funny is
Doritos,
it's totally
Doritos,
completely different.
Doritos,
She's like,
Doritos.
I want Doritos. I want to pour a big bowl of Doritos in front of me and she slow plays it all day. She'll just eat like one after the other, and we'll whittle through like a whole family size bag.
Sure.
But this week she was like, no, I'm going on this like crazy protein diet. I gotta cut down a little
Give me
bit.
the Cool Ranch Doritos.
We've been trying to work out. We've been going back to yoga together. So she ate a nice fillet of fish with I think some spinach.
For the record, not a fillet of fish from McDonald's.
No.
Okay. I
No,
was
not
gonna
a
say
fillet.
she's doing
Not a
it
fillet
wrong.
o fish.
Okay, thank
A
you.
fillet of fish.
okay.
It sounded like did you hear an O in there?
When everyone says fillet of fish, you often
You just assume it's McDonald's.
fish fillet otherwise.
No,
The
she.
Grandma Miller special, that and a cup of coffee. That's all my grandma would get there.
Damn. Damn. I can just smell the polyester. She was eating a nice fillet of fish and some spinach, and I was whittling my way through Taco Bell because that's what I give myself on Oscar Sunday. Because to me, Oscar Sunday is like the nerd Super Bowl, right?
Sure.
Where it's like it is the time that I get to celebrate the thing that I love. And I liked the Super Bowl. We had fun at the Super Bowl party together, throwing by Mr. Tyroot and Craig Barron on. That was cool. But this is not
I was there too. I don't know why you.
I said
looked at
we.
Colin. No, you
I
gestured
got
at Colin, made eye contact, and you
Well,
went
because
back.
Colin actually talked to me. All you did was sit over
Yeah,
the
you
There
were
was
corner.
two sides of the room.
You were basically just on your phone.
And
though.
I
I'll tell
kept
you what,
trying to
Charles,
include you in the
Charles's new
conversation.
girlfriend was there in the center, and since she was in the center, I never talked to her either. That was the cutoff. Didn't ever
know
meet
what-
her.
you know
Didn't
what's-
ever meet this woman I was in the room.
This
with.
was Greg at the
I-
Super Bowl party.
No, it was actually this was me at the Super Bowl because I was listening to the Ad Blitz halftime show.
Yeah, trying to catch our commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny about Charles' new girlfriend is she seems very, very sweet, very, very nice, and very, very innocent. And for some reason, I know I wasn't even drunk, I was saying some of the worst possible things, directed like not to her, but just I'm like, dude, that guy is gonna. You know when the guy made that game-winning catch where it was like randomly, and I was like, oh my god, he just totally saved the game from them. I was like, that dude's gonna go out and he's gonna get laid tonight. Am I right? Am I right? And she's like, I don't know you. Why are you touching me?
That's just Nick Scarpino
Why are
in a
you
nutshell. I think she
saying
does
these
know you
things?
now.
Yeah, she knows me now.
Yeah.
Charles is just sitting there
I
shaking
just
his
went
head.
off on a ridiculous tangent. Oh, Safeway. So yeah, so we go to Safeway to get these things. She wanted Diet Coke. She wanted Diet Cream Soda. So we go there, and I marvel at how cheap everything is. I'm like, why do I forget about Safeway? You can go and you can get normal priced items there that are a reasonable quality.
I feel like Trader Joe's is cheaper than Safeway.
It is, but they don't have
everything.
everything's Trader Joe's branded.
Yeah,
So I'm
that's
like,
the
I
big
don't.
problem.
What
I
I
need
need
American-
sell Diet Coke for Christ's sake.
Yeah, like they
You're
don't sell
golden.
Coke. They don't sell like I can't get Hellman's. I can't get Heinz ketchup. I can't get
And it's because they're like
deli cheese. You know?
Trader Joe's the fancy version of Aldi, right? And they're owned by the same company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because Cheryl, when she was interning in Pittsburgh, when she was getting her PhD, loved Aldi, and that's like an even cheaper. Trader
Aldi,
Joe's.
yeah, it's super.
It's like
it's
the
cheap and not like
budget-
healthy
yeah.
food stuff. No. Like
So
crazy Chiefs puffs.
yeah, like I Cheryl and I typically go to Trader Joe's like once a week, and then we go to Safeway for supplemental things, like you're saying.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's just some bullshit at Trader Joe's that I just don't want any part of. Like their yogurt situation's kind of weak.
Oh, they got the Chobani, I think, don't they?
Oh, he hates Chobani. He can't.
Oh,
eat
you don't
Chobani.
like
Chobani's
it?
gross.
Chobani. It smells
Greg's
weird.
Chobani smells like fucking shit. I don't know.
It
I don't know.
smells-
Like I just want to be straight up honest with you. There's something like you're eating some. I think it might not be food.
No,
Like I think
it's
you
like
might
one
have
of those things, like-
accidentally be eating chemicals or something like that, or just
No.
garbage, straight up garbage out of a landfill.
See, this is the one you were talking today on Colin Moriarty Live about being finicky.
Mm.
This is the new one where all of a sudden you are 6 months pregnant level of just weird
Mm-hmm.
with food stuff. All of a sudden you can't smell the yogurt.
Well, it's only because the yogurt's too much for me. Because it's like you weren't eating this until last month, so
No.
like,
Yogurt?
yeah, I wasn't around you eating.
You weren't around me, sure. I ate it every day at IGN.
I mean,
He
yeah,
used
but
to-
I mean,
every
like
day
in the
he'd have
house.
that big bowl of
So
yogurt,
now,
him and Darren Brazil.
this is the problem, and this is the problem with the yogurt situation, is that he eats the yogurt, and that's fine. Eat what you want. I don't give a flying fuck what you
fine.
eat. But
It's fine.
But then the bowl is there with covered in remnants of the yogurt, which smell like shit, which then goes into the sink and just sits there all day, which smells like shit.
It gets crusty.
The cup goes into the recycling bin, which smells like shit. And then the aluminum foil then goes in the garbage, which smells like shit. So no matter where you go, you open the garbage can and you get a waft of whatever the hell it is that you're eating.
Yogurt. Greek yogurt.
See, the problem is it's the Greek.
Terrible.
It's the
It's
Greek
terrible.
yogurt. If you get a Yoplait yogurt, that's
no, I
just
eat Yoplait
normal
yogurt. I eat
regular
Yoplait
yogurt.
yogurt.
That's the thing is he eats yogurt by the barrel.
That
That's
just-
his treat.
that just smells
After he
like
has a
candy.
nice dinner, he eats a thing of Yoplait with nuts in it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
a
good.
weird- it's a
Yoplait
weird
smells like
dessert.
Yoplait smells like nothing.
I think this yogurt smells like nothing.
It's not a weird. Wait, what?
Kevin, weigh in. Does the yogurt smell weird? Okay.
Go
get
to the
one.
garbage.
Just go smell the garbage.
No,
Kevin.
I don't think that's an accurate representation.
Go smell the
Here's what
garbage.
you're not saying. First off, of course, I wash the bowl when I make my lunch later on. It doesn't sit there all day. Like
Sits
a
there
psycho.
sometimes for 3 or 4 days.
Okay. I'll wash out the containers then when I throw it away too. I didn't know that was a problem. You don't express yourself.
It's
You
just
sit here
because it's a
and
weird.
You ball it
sometimes
all up. You
no, I don't
all
ball
up.
it up. There's some problems that I have that I acknowledge are so astronomically weird.
But I'm willing to make these sacrifices for you. The 5 seconds to wash out the yogurt containers for you.
Well, I appreciate that.
No
Thank you.
problem.
I don't think it's weird. I think the fact that it's Greek yogurt is what makes it smell weird to you. When I started eating, I went on a binge where I was like, I'm gonna get healthy because yogurt has those good, I guess, bacteria in it.
Activias.
Yeah, Activias.
It's the Jamie Lee Curtis thing.
That's
Remember?
when
It's
you
the
have to
poop
poop your
yogurt.
pants. Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
you
well,
poop your pants.
Activia.
Hey, I'm
She
old,
did it to like
and
set
I've never
her
pooped. I haven't
digestive
pooped in
system.
6
But it's the
months.
same
So I'm
thing.
gonna
Any
poop right
yogurt's
now.
got the natural cultures in it.
Yes, the cultures. Thank you. But the Greek yogurt does smell a little strong, and by strong I mean it does smell a little like a foot.
Yeah, it smells like a little bit like shit.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just call it like it is. I mean, it just smells a little bit like shit.
And Greg,
So I mean, it's not like a full blown shit. I took a fart in the bath in the
You took
shower.
a fart
right?
in the shower.
I took a fart.
Now this
So
is
you walked it in.
No, well,
come with me, fart.
Hey, come here.
Took it in
Come
the
over to
shower
my.
with
Come
me.
over to
We've-
meet my shower.
We've expressed
That's
the wall fart and with
yeah.
the Mori farty. Some people have called it.
That's a really good name.
That's really good.
And it's not one of those. It was one of those that was like maybe there might have been.
Ew.
I don't think so, but maybe I
Yeah.
shit myself a little bit. I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But it sure
You
smelled
were
like
too
it.
afraid to look.
And then I'm trapped in my stall shower, and like, get me out of here! Like it's too strong even for me.
you got the soap in your eyes. You're like screaming, banging on the wall. Oh God.
Christ.
It felt like warm in there. Like it was
Like you got extra warm. You're like, it's really hot already, and I can still feel the temperature differential between the normal hot water and the hot water that just came out of my asshole. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's been a good
I
show.
could have just said ass.
If
but
you
I
didn't
said
know, ladies
asshole.
and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 3 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can pick up the show early each and every Friday over on patreon.com/kindafunny. If you don't want to give us any money, no big deal. You can wait and go to youtube.com/kindafunny. Get each and every topic broken out day by day until we post the whole thing on Friday on iTunes and, of course, youtube.com. Kindafunny.com has everything you need, including we need a shirt on District Lines that says the More Farties. What is it?
More farty.
More Farty?
Yeah.
The More Farty? Can it just be a picture of a shower stall and it says More Farty and it's all some steam's coming out?
It can be that. I was thinking just the actual like translucent glass with just your butthole pressed up against it, like your ass pressed up against it.
But then you have to have the arms pressed against the other side
Yeah.
of the shark. You really got to get. If you don't have suction, it's like opening the airlock on a spaceship. You need to have an
it's gotta
absolute
be
vacuum.
like tight.
Yeah.
Tight. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
weird
I know what you're
show.
talking about.
It's a weird show. Let's get it on track. I'm going to start this week.
Okay.
If you're wondering at home,
First
we
time
have
for
4
everything.
topics, of course, because somebody sent in one to patreon.com. We'll get to that later. I want to start with something. I was out of town on Friday.
Okay.
I had to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Didn't have to go. Wanted to go.
Chose to go for
Went
a
to
charity
the-
event.
This charity event, one played there, Game and Watch Live. You can still catch it at twitch.tv/Game and Watch Live. Raised a whole bunch of money with a whole bunch of other people for the British Columbia Children's Hospital.
No, it's just you. It was just you.
Just me, pretty much. That's what they said.
$10 million you raised for just that.
I think it was like 8,000. That's what it came up to.
Okay.
But raised all this money playing Mario Kart 64. While I was in transit on Friday, though, they announced and they showed. I guess they didn't announce it. They showed Aquaman.
Yeah.
From Batman v Superman.
Yes.
Everyone knows
Aquaman.
Everyone knows I'm the biggest DC Comics fan on the internet.
Right.
I say that all the time. Don't believe me? I have this and that.
It's Supergirl, right?
I hate you. Signed by Babs Tarr, and you're going to insult me that way. No, big fan, of course, of the DC Comics. And it got me thinking. First off, I want to know your reaction, Nick, because I know you're a movies guy. Colin, your reaction to Aquaman. Jason Momoa here. What he's going to look like. And then I want to talk a little bit about the DC Cinematic Universe in general. Nick, you begin. I haven't talked to you at all. Heard any opinions?
Well, obviously, I mean, we've gone back. We've talked about this a lot. Zack Snyder's trying to do what Joss Whedon did with the Marvel Universe, what Kevin Feige is doing with the Marvel Universe, and I hope it works. I want it to work. I mean, I've said this before. I like the Marvel Universe better. I like Batman the best. Like, Batman is my favorite superhero.
Sure.
But I like the Marvel Universe better. And the reason I like it is because I'm a very fair weather fan. They're doing better
They're doing
projects.
cool stuff.
They're doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I don't give a shit about Iron Man. I never did. But I like Iron Man movies because guess what? They're good and they're entertaining.
Robert Downey Jr.
They got Robert Downey Jr. They're interesting casting choices, interesting stories, great special effects, and just all around great popcorn flicks. So I want Justice League to be better than Avengers. I don't think it will be.
Because you want them to keep outdoing each other.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Like, competition breeds excellence, right? So like all these guys, and right now you better know that Zack Snyder has a damn chip on his shoulder after Man of Steel. It was a decent movie, but it was so
Mixed review?
well, it was mixed review, but everyone after that first trailer, you're like, this is gonna be the best movie ever made.
Sure. Yeah.
That trailer made me cry, for Christ's sake. So imagine my surprise when I got to the end of the movie and I was like, I should have liked that more. I liked it.
Yeah.
But that I should have liked it more.
Sure.
So flash forward now to what he's trying to do with Wonder Woman, Aquaman. I guess Martian Manhunter that's getting a film as well, right?
Yeah, but not in this.
Not
tied to this movie, or
right.
whatever. Wait, is he getting his own movie? That doesn't sound right. Kevin, you do a fact check on that.
He is
Thank
getting
you
his
very
own
much.
movie.
Cyborg.
Cyborg.
I like
I'm
how
sorry,
we're
I'm
just
thinking
ignoring
Cyborg. not
Cyborg,
Martian
okay.
Man.
He is getting a movie. I remember that from
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. He
But
has to be. John Jones has to be.
Jean.
And it has to be Idris Elba.
Jean Valjean?
Jean Valjean, yes. Which is crazy because they stole the character.
What did you think of Aquaman?
What do I think of the look
What
of
did you
him
think
or
of
in
the
general?
one image? Not Aquaman.
The 7 for 7. What did it say? Unite the 7.
Yeah,
seven,
Unite the
seven
Seven.
planets. 7 rings of hell.
Yeah.
It's Jason Momoa. It looks like I think the caption I read on it was either The Verge or IO9 said it looks like Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
Just underwater
With the trident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Jason Momoa. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's perfect for a Khal Drogo style role. I haven't seen much range come from the guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This is his first time we actually get to see him act. I watched Conan the Barbarian, the remake, for about 5 minutes before I was like,
that's bad. If you couldn't watch it,
I couldn't watch it. I couldn't get through it, and it wasn't bad. I made the cardinal mistake of watching it with my wife. And my wife takes every bad movie and makes it instantly 50% worse. Because she actually goes, why are we watching this?
Yeah, that's what
versus
Christine
me,
does too.
if she's out of the room and I'm watching it by myself, I'm like, oh, I guess that was kind of cool, and it just becomes better.
Yeah.
Like I can't watch any of my cheat shows with her.
This reminds me of motherfucking Spring Breakers, which you somehow convinced me to watch by saying it was good, tricking me. Spring Break. No, so I start this movie and Christine from the jump is like, this looks dumb. And I'm like, no, Nick says it's all right. Let's watch it. And we get in and she's like, this is terrible. And I'm like, Nick says, it's like by the time I'm like, no, this is really bad. I'm like, let's turn it off. And then she flipped it. And she's like, no, we're committed now.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna ride it out.
That's how it becomes good.
No, it did. We did not come back around.
Did you get
it
to the
was
part
torture.
where James Franco's like, look at all my shit.
Yeah.
I got all this shit. And then for like 15 minutes, he's like, I got nunchucks. I got a Uzi. Look at my switchblade. That's all he says. It's like 15 minutes in. It's amazing. No, unlike that, he looks cool. I don't know how they're going to make an Aquaman cool, a movie cool.
He's Superman underwater.
But are they going to have the majority of the movie be underwater, or is it going to have to be him coming to
he'll
the?
come out.
He's going to have to come out and talk to Superman, right? Like at a certain point, if you're going Unite the Seven, I'm assuming that's a reference to the Justice League, right?
Yeah, or the Seven Seas. Maybe it's his motivation, but yeah.
Okay.
It could also be. It could easily be. Yeah. If they start putting out more, if they put out the Wonder Woman poster and it says Unite the Seven,
Then you're going to know
sure.
it's the seven. Were there 7 original members of the Justice League?
Yeah.
Or is that, yeah. So that's kind of maybe it's a cool double entendre for him.
What did you think, Colin? Not being a comic book fan, enjoying the occasional comic book movie, most notably The Dark Knight Rises.
First of all,
Yes.
Kevin, what's the verdict on Martian Manhunter?
I couldn't find anything saying that it has been officially announced.
They didn't announce. I would have sworn that was one of the 5 movies or so.
It may happen.
I'll look at the DC movie. Did you Google the DC movie slate?
I could have sworn that was one of the movies in that slate.
I
We're
remember,
on it, everybody. Don't worry.
We'll look it up. They announced literally like 20 movies.
Exactly.
So
That's why it's confusing.
It's confusing. There has to be a Martian Manhunter
I don't
movie
think
at
there
some
has
point.
to be. Yeah, there is not.
There's
Batman
not.
vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman,
thinking
Justice
Cyborg,
League
that's
Part
why.
1, The Flash, Aquaman, Shazam, Justice League Part 2, Cyborg, Green Lantern.
Jesus Christ!
No
How
Martian
did Martian
Manhunter.
Manhunter not get into that mix of?
He's not a very. I mean,
whatever.
Save it for the save it. There's two parts to this question. I want to know the first part.
All right, so Aquaman to me has always struck me. I don't know a goddamn thing about Aquaman, but he's always struck me just aesthetically as a very old superhero that is irrelevant. So it's interesting that like DC has a lot of old superheroes that are irrelevant, and I think that they're trying to make them relevant. I don't mean that as a pejorative, really. They do have a lot of old, completely
the majority
irrelevant.
of irrelevant.
They have like completely
comic book
fucking
characters.
irrelevant superheroes. So it's like, with the exception of like Batman and a couple other, like Superman, maybe like a couple others. They're trying to make themselves cool, like Marvel is.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Oh, jeez. That I think Batman's my favorite too. Batman's the only superhero I really even care about at all.
Yeah.
Like where I'm like, I like Batman.
But
I
let's be
know
honest,
something about Batman.
Is it because of Batman or is it because of that he fights awesome?
Oh no, I've
villains?
always Batman's villains are some of the best part, but I've always liked Batman even
Okay.
since I was a very little kid. Like I never read the comics or anything, but starting with '89 Batman all
Sure.
the way up,
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
actually really even love the campy like weird ones too.
Sure.
I just they have their place, and I think Batman's always been relevant to me my entire life, which I thought was weird because nothing else in the superhero realm was relevant to me, mostly because superheroes were largely irrelevant when we were growing up.
They were.
In the 80s and 90s, no one gave a flying fuck about superheroes. So it was like Batman was really and I don't mean that like
I know exactly what you're saying.
You know,
I agree.
Like they
were
weren't
not mainstream like that.
they were like
popular.
not.
You
With
were
the exception
a nerd
of,
and you were a closeted nerd, or you were made fun of.
with the exception
You
of
played with Toy Story
Batman, like
16.
who cared? You know, like no one. So it's like that wasn't something that was injected into me like other things from our pop culture as kids. You know, I'm 30 years old now, so growing up in the 80s and 90s, like there was just whatever G.I. Joe and whatever the hell we were watching. So watching this adapt and watching DC and Marvel kind of go at each other, and I really feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I really feel like it started with like X-Men and Spider-Man when I was in high school, and
The
then
movies, X-Men started it,
and then DC kind of got in on the act, and then Marvel kind of went back, and then Marvel's obviously been winning this fight for a long time,
Well,
with the exception of Batman,
Right.
which I think are better than any of the Marvel movies I've seen by far, and I think that like. I would prefer I understand DC has a slate of movies and therefore must concentrate on making this slate of people relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me wishes that they would just narrow it down to 2 or 3 people, like maybe Batman, Superman, someone else, and be like, let's really work on Batman. Let's really work on Superman. Let's not like, I don't even know who the hell half the people are that you just said. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably the wrong idea. Aquaman falls into that camp for me because he always seemed like an antiquated superhero. That said, I had no idea that they were releasing anything for Aquaman until it was when Alexa from GameSpot was on Colin and Greg Live with us. That was the last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked at the picture, and I had no idea that they were doing anything about it. And I'm like, this looks pretty cool. Not in the sense that it's a movie I want to see, because I would probably not see it, but because they did a nice job making Aquaman look entirely not like the Aquaman I see in my head, which is with the green and the orange and the yellow. He's a white guy with blonde hair, right?
He's Nate.
Exactly. And like, so now he looks like he's like a Pacific Islander. He's got, what I really thought was cool was that his outfit was kind of seamless. Alexa and I were talking about this. His outfit's kind of seamless, where he has like tribal looking tattoos that are actually the outfit for the most part.
Yeah, they look like scales.
Yeah, it's
but
really
it's the tattoo. That's cool.
Like I was like, whoever they designed to make, or whoever they hired to make that design, pretty ingenious. I don't know if you can do any better than that for Aquaman. You know, and I think that unless you want to go in a super campy direction, which is has its place. I mean, that's the way I wanted G.I. Joe to go when they made the G.I. Joe movies. I'm like, just have it out of control. like when they made, I remember talking to Hillary and other people when G.I. Joe came out in 2009, and everyone's like, well, what do you this was my superhero movie, and I was like, well, what do you want out of this? And I was like, I want them to go so all in on old G.I. Joe that the opening sequence is the Statue of Liberty fight from the G.I. Joe movie in the 80s, and just recreate that with real people. And if you do something like that,
That'd be dope. That would be dope.
Like, and you just have the colorful Vipers and Cobra Commander's in his blue garb and Destro's in there, instead of like making it all realistic. That's the direction I wanted that to go in. And they've gone with Aquaman, it seems like, in the exact opposite direction, more the direction G.I. Joe went in, which is to make it grounded.
Now here's the thing. Now here's where we springboard off.
Okay, springboard with me.
I saw this, thought it looked really cool.
Cool.
Started getting excited. Were you springboarding there? I'm sorry.
I just springboarded. You were supposed to.
Sorry. There you go. Started getting really excited, right? And then I remember, of course, it's similar to when they revealed Batman, and when they revealed Wonder Woman, and when they did the really cool Comic-Con presentation I had to watch on a shaky iPhone because, God forbid, they put this
God
footage
forbid they
out.
put that up.
God forbid. Only
God
they wanted,
forbid.
God forbid. So anyways, I saw that, and I remember getting super excited then, but
God,
having
that was
to
so
temper
cool.
my expectations, right? And saying, well, remember, though, this is the sequel to Man of Steel for all intents and purposes. That was a movie that I didn't walk out going, what an awesome movie. I walked out going, that wasn't what was sold to me in the trailer, and like this is a different thing, and blah, 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 blah. But something interesting happened with the Aquaman. It gets me excited, and I start to feel that way, but then I change my mind. I pivot.
Right.
Aquaman for me now is the line in the sand, if you will, It's exhibit, I guess, D, that this is the DC universe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was on this podcast, the Quiver podcast, about the movie Arrow, not quivering.
Yeah.
And
What was quivering?
Ollie's member. Theo was watching. Anyways, we're having this conversation, and it's the fact that I think Man of Steel misfired for me based on expectations. And I think it was expectations set by the trailer. Yeah. This inspiring score, the kid in his white shirt with the red towel
The
on
fact
his back.
that we haven't seen Superman in forever.
Right.
And when the last time we did see him, he was such a dismal disappointment. And then you see this trailer and you're like, this is it. This is redemption.
They get it what they're going to do.
Get it.
And so you come in expecting your traditional Superman story. He's going to be this inspiring guy, all this different stuff. And then instead, you get this sci-fi movie.
You get a
that's
sci-fi
mixed
alien
in.
movie.
Right. You get a sci-fi alien movie, which isn't bad, but again, on the misfire of expectations. And I went an interesting way with this Man of Steel film. Saw it at a pre-screening through Warner Brothers. Saw it on opening night at midnight, and then stopped going to see it. Said, I'm not going to go see this movie anymore. I'm gonna stew on it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to decide what I want to do. When it came to DVD, I asked aloud to Christine, do I want to buy this movie? She said, no. You wouldn't ask that question if you wanted to. I said, good call. I didn't buy the movie.
It's true. And
then I kept stewing. And the reason I did this is because if you remember Superman Returns, I saw it opening night, and then I saw it 3 times that weekend. I saw it a million other times before. Bought the DVDs, watched them, blah, blah. And literally 2 months into owning the DVDs, I'm watching the movie, and I'm talking to the girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, oh, this is, like, watch Kate Bosworth's line delivery here. She's so stilted. Oh, and what is, and then I was like, oh, whoa, I don't like this movie.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I haven't given myself the second to stop and think, do I like this movie at all? Before the Aquaman stuff comes out, before I go to Canada, I catch the end of Man of Steel on HBO. Watch it from, pretty much the midway point.
Just
or
the
whatever,
punch harder
right?
point.
Exactly, which was resonating in my head when we've talked about why Batman resonates and Superman doesn't, right? And picking it up there, being back to pretty much zero expectations, I enjoyed myself. I was like, okay, I still think Henry Cavill looks like an awesome Superman. There's still plenty of problems with the movie, don't get me wrong. I'm not slighting all of that. But like, I've never been one to fall in spoilers. We're putting on the Man of Steel spoiler. This is now official. Colin and I have established this, if you didn't know. This is for you now. Anytime there's going to be spoilers in one of our shows, we'll tap our hat and say there's a spoiler alert. Okay. And then when you see us tap our head again, our hat, you can come back. So we're doing the Man of Steel spoilers. What
if we forget to tap our head for the whole episode?
I won't.
We finally tap.
Well, I won't. You might.
Okay. What if I scratch my head right now?
It's going to be me. I have to tap my head. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. That didn't count. I have to untap my head. You can't. Someone else can't untap the head. The head. It has to be tapped. No, not. Ooh,
Sorry, continue.
No, everybody got all bent out of shape with how many people died in Metropolis. And that, Superman would never let that many people die, and da-da-da-da-da. And I thought it was an interesting choice for sure. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But what I come back to all the time, and I've mentioned on this show before, right, is that when I started reading the comic book Invincible, right, there's scenes in there where Mark is fighting people and getting blown through buildings, and he's saying, stop, we're killing all these people around us, right? And that was the first time I ever thought about that, even though that wasn't mentioned in the Superman Doomsday fight. You know what I mean? That was happening. People were dying. People were getting crushed and all this stuff. So when we sit here and then want a grounded superhero film, right? What did the Batman Begins, or whatever you want to call them, the Nolan Batmans, do so well? They grounded Batman, right? They made it realistic. That's what they're doing right now still with Man of Steel in the DC Cinematic Universe. And so now having that expectation, I think pulling away from it, I start to get excited about Batman v Superman again. And I think I can legitimately be excited and not have to make excuses for it here and there. In the fact that, this is an Elseworld tale, right? Like, if it was Superman in his bright reds and bright blues that his mom made, he'd be saving everybody and nobody would die and there'd be happy endings for everybody, right? But this isn't that. This is supposed to be a modern interpretation of what would happen if these superheroes came to Earth and this sort of thing started to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen that story already, right? We've seen this.
Yeah.
For the last, how many years? 50, 60, something like that?
Like, what, 80 now?
80
almost?
now, Jesus.
We hit 75 a while ago.
So, I think everything, nothing comes about in a vacuum. Right, so every time you develop a script or you develop any of these projects, you're clearly looking at what came before and say, how do we iterate? How do we make it better? Yeah. Zack Snyder looked at it and said, okay, well, Nolan started this amazing world. Let's follow suit with it. But I will say that to his discredit for Nolan, I think he went a little too far into the real realm with Batman. I think there were some things that I'm like, I don't need every single aspect of this explained. It actually kind of takes away some of the power of Batman, and that. You did. You
told
didn't
you forget.
I'm done with my Man of Steel spoilers. It's my thought process. I'll do what I want.
So I mean, I think Zack Snyder kind of fell prey to that, which sucks a little bit.
But I think it's also that he just gets a bad rap. What I was thinking about the other day, Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
The Joker, or not Joker, I'm sorry. Scarecrow releases the toxin. It's coming up through the air. Everyone in the Narrows is going crazy. Yeah. They say over the intercom that people are tearing each other apart. Dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of people are being killed in the streets of Batman Begins, but nobody gives Batman shit for it.
It's the poor people.
Well, Batman's different, though, I think. Isn't the expectation of Batman different? The expectation is Batman's not going to kill anyone, but Gotham is way darker than Metropolis.
Well, I wasn't arguing about Superman killing in Man of Steel. I'm just talking about the number of people killed in Man of Steel. The spoiler thing's all fucked up.
I don't think that's a... Well, I mean... I don't think that's an issue. I mean, that was a direct correlation to like when everyone was talking about Avengers and what happened at the end of Avengers.
Right, where a number of people would have died there too, but they don't mention that. They don't show that.
Well, no, I mean, there was news reports that came out jokingly that were like, "Hey, we're going to calculate how much devastation would actually have cost the city."
Yeah, but again, it's cost, not lives.
Trillions.
You understand what I'm saying, though? Do you understand that? I think that.
Yeah, but I don't remember there being people that died. I don't remember them showing people that died in Man of Steel.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, dude.
Really?
When the terraformer lands and starts sucking up, there's clearly people getting pulled up and slammed back.
Oh
in the
wow,
ground.
okay, I didn't see.
And that was the problem people were having with it, as if in Avengers, when Captain America and the Avengers fucking evacuate a block,
goes through a
is
building.
like, yeah, exactly.
But we're missing. I think we're missing the major point. Not I'm a bit of a layman with Superman, but grounding something like Superman doesn't seem to be possible, and so they shouldn't do it unless you want to rewrite the rules of who Superman is. Because Superman is inherently not grounded. He's from another fucking planet, and he has an unlimited amount of superpowers. So, like, how can you... Like, Batman made sense to be grounded, but with Superman, you should probably go in the other direction, which is say, if you want to make Superman relevant again to a large audience like the Avengers is relevant or whatever, then you need to go in a different direction, whatever that means, because you can't ground this character. It's impossible.
But I think it is possible, and I think that's the whole thing, is we can't have it both ways. We're saying they have to go in a different direction, and they've done the red and blue very bright.
Right.
So the different direction is making it grounded in trying to build a universe where Batman and him exist.
Yeah, but how? But will they like that's the thing I have a huge problem with this Batman versus Superman thing is like, and it's not. I love Batman, but it's like Batman's just a normal person.
Yeah, but it's not going to build off of the Nolan universe.
No, I understand that, but like, I think it was a huge mistake. I think it was a mistake to stop the Nolan universe, even if you needed to get someone else to do the movies and not Christopher Nolan himself. Like, they should have kept doing those movies. And I think that would have been awesome. Those movies are fucking fantastic. They are fantastic. All three of those movies are awesome.
They're great, but they screwed themselves out of doing more because they set Batman up as too human, as too much of a frail human being. As we didn't really see him go through that hard of battle, but his body's wrecked and his knees are gone, except for when he puts that fancy knee brace on that
kicks really hard through.
Yeah, but that's why you can get Robin or Nightwing or whatever in, and I thought that's what they were doing at the end of that movie.
And they might still, but at the same time, like, let's be perfectly honest, Batman's Batman. Like, there's no substitution for it. I don't want to see Jessica Gordon-Levitt be Batman. I want to see Batman.
But what was the star of Batman? Because of the Nolan Batmans, because to me it was not Batman. It was the villains and the world.
That to me was the biggest mistake of that whole series, was that it was not those. If you go back, I've said this before on the show, but if you go back and look at Dark Knight, it's not a Batman movie. It's a Joker movie. It's not about Batman. It's about everyone trying to stop this psycho killer. It's more like Silence of the Lambs, where it's like the main character, the person you're like terrified of and fascinated by, is Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill, not necessarily Agent Starling.
It puts the lotion in the basket. I remember I sent you that video. I was just watching it one day, and I just took a clip of that and just sent it to Nick at 2 in the morning.
Texts me random clips at 2 in the morning, and it's just like, boom, I'm falling. Would you have sex with me? I'd have sex with me.
He doesn't say that.
And he says the F word.
Yeah, you're not censored here. Say whatever you want.
It's fair enough.
But to me, that's the problem with Superman. Like, I would like for them to somehow establish. I know that there's different continuities and universes, whatever.
Yeah.
But they need to redo this character in a way that makes him not the 1930 archetypical superhero that's godlike, because he is, and that's a huge problem. That I really think that's a huge problem for Superman. And like why I think people have a hard time relating to him, because why? Because you have to write stories that somehow make sense. Like, I have no idea how they're gonna write Batman versus Superman or whatever and make any fucking sense. Because Superman should be able to take Batman and just snap him in half, and that would be the end of it. You know what I mean? Like that they shouldn't exist in the same universe. They can't. But Batman's useless in Superman's universe. He should be, right? So that's a big problem.
Good job if you watch and this is where I kind of I would hope that they do a little more research and go back and watch the original Justice League cartoon, right? That's a great way to show how all these characters can exist. You don't necessarily have to have Superman coming in to save the day, although more often than not, that's exactly what happens in the series. But Batman is the character.
He gets his ass kicked a lot, actually.
I guess he does. Batman is the character that figures it out. Batman's the character who's the master strategist.
He's the brains.
Like when there's 15 things happening, he's sitting up there in the Justice League Watchtower, figuring out where to send everyone, what's really going on. And Superman is sort of the broadsword. He's the tank that you send in first, where Batman is like the general behind it. And that's generally how they go. Batman's just a fascinating character, and he figures out. Like, I honestly believe in a world if those two were real, Batman would figure out how to beat Superman 100% of the time. He just would figure it out.
It's true.
Hands down, if you put those two up against each other, he would win. What I'm more fascinated with, and spoilers, can I?
Who cares anymore? It's dead.
Okay,
Everything's dead.
You know, when you go back and look at the Dark Knight Returns, the iconic Frank Miller series, that's how those two characters should exist together. That is a riveting story about how Batman. It's a Batman story. It's called The Dark Knight Returns, but it's about Superman. It's about bringing Superman back into the fold and making him what he once was, so that he can stop the chaos that's happening in the world and stop this like sort of like totalitarian government that the United States has become.
Stop Ronald Reagan.
But in this instance, Ronald Reagan is basically like, in this story, Superman has become sort of a tool for the American government, is going and fighting our wars for us, which is not what Superman is. And Batman realizes that, and Frank Miller crafts this amazing story where like you don't really know why Batman's coming back that much, but he is coming back and he's making this crazy resurgence, and he's like gathering an army behind him. And it turns out that part of the reason why he's doing that is to wake Superman up. And like he goes and and that's what was so cool about that footage that you saw from Comic-Con. It was that exact scene where he's in the suit and he's looking up at him, and Superman comes down and they're about ready to fight, and you're like, I know the reason they're fighting isn't a 1-to-1 to see who can win. There's got to be something deeper than that. Batman would not fight Superman unless there is a reason, a very, very profound and important reason for him to put his life in that specific spot. And if you go back and read The Dark Knight, and I've already spoiled 90% of it, but please read it anyway, there is a great reason why, and it's awesome. Yeah. What I would hope with Aquaman is that it's like Iron Man for me, whereas I did not give a shit about Iron Man. There was zero expectations. So the bar was set at ground level. Right. And when I came in, I'm like, I think that's what's going to happen. I want to be blown away.
If they play this right, I think it might actually not do what Spider-Man 3 did and self-fucking destruct, because there's too many storylines. Because you figure you're introducing Lex, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg. I'm sure I'm leaving someone out. But you have these 5 characters who are going to be introduced,
right? Is the Flash going to be in this one?
No. Or at least not that we've heard of. Okay. And then 4 of those 5 are getting their own movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you can put these people in there, and we can just be on Superman's side of like, what is Aquaman's deal? Who knows? Maybe he comes in, and it's just like X-Men Days of Futures Past, and he's the Quicksilver. Yeah. Who's fucking awesome. And we didn't get a huge backstory on, right? We met his mom.
That would be probably ideal.
Exactly. Drop all these characters in there that are fucking rad and beating the shit out of everybody, and then make us want to know more when they're solo movies. Don't bog it down by asking a million questions and trying to explain everything, which is what they're going to do with Wonder Woman. I have a fear of.
I have a fear that they're going to do that too. And the reason why Marvel was so smart was that they did all the standalone movies to build up to it.
Yep.
And so by the time we got to the Avengers, the reason that movie was so powerful is because we already knew these characters, we already loved these characters, we've already seen these characters go through their important arcs. We had 2 hours of backstory in each one of them. Right? Yeah. And so they come together, and you can just have fun watching them interact. But see, like when you were a kid, when you were used to play with your toys, and you'd put the Hulk in the same room as Iron Man and Thor, and like you would be fantasizing about how these characters would interact with each other. We get to see that, which is awesome.
Now here's the interesting thing, though, right? Is the DC universe, cinematic universe, supposed to be fun? I don't think it is, because when I left Avengers, I don't think smiling ear to ear. I had such a great time. I think by going grounded, by showing destruction, by doing all these different things, you're not going for fun necessarily. You're going to try to make these interesting sci-fi movies.
Well, I don't think they know, and I think this is why they're trying to bring Zack Snyder in and have him be sort of a godfather of the series, because at the end of the day, you need someone.
What, you mean Nolan as the godfather?
I'm sorry, Nolan. Did I say Snyder? Yeah. Well, the Nolan Snyder connection, I guess it's more like Nolan.
I mean, Snyder's directed the first 2 films here of this universe. So he's more than a godfather.
But I guess Nolan is sort of the one who's executive producing all these, and he's coming in, and you need someone who understands. Like, you basically, you need someone who can come in as sort of showrunner or executive producer that can say, look, I am overlooking this entire universe.
Yeah.
It is really gonna when I'm saying we're developing all these stories, what I'm really saying is you're developing these stories in line with my vision for what the whole universe is supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's what Marvel does so brilliantly with Kevin Feige over there. He's their lead of development, and he is the one that they call in when Disney's like, we're making more movies. He gets final say on what's going on with all of them. So you have to imagine his sort of vibe is fun.
Yeah.
Serious at times, but mostly this is a comic book movie, so it should be fun, and we should have characters that are quippy back and forth to each other and witty back and forth to each other and really fleshed out. They haven't had that opportunity yet because they're a little behind the curve.
But I don't even think that's what they're going to go for. I don't think that's at all. Because, I mean, just think about Avengers. Avengers is saturated color and bright and fun, and you leave excited and happy, and the good guys win. Whereas I feel like the DC universe is not building that. It's building this ground.
But isn't that completely opposite to where how those two comic books companies came up from each other? Like, Marvel was always the one that was known for, like, we're going to deal with some pretty flawed characters, and DC was always the happy-go-lucky, like Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Marvel's characters were always very humanized, right? Like, different things. But, I mean, like, just looking at the color palette of the Aquaman teaser image is, like, black and white. It looks like, and that's what I would describe when I think of Man of Steel, having watched it, right? Not going into it, but having watched it, that is the color palette of it, and that's what that universe looks like it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, they made a conscious choice to make it more serious, and I think that was probably a conscious choice to depart from. They did it with Superman Returns too. If you go back and look at that, even his outfit is muted tones.
Yeah,
right.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. And I think they did it as they were looking probably at the landscape, and they're like, what tonally should this movie be? Well, should it be more like the Christopher Reeve Superman, or should it be more like the thing that's some of the highest grossing movies in our catalog, which was the Batman movies, which were super dark and kind of fucked up. Like, you look at the Joker, you look at Bane, like, people are getting their heads snapped. They're in that world, death is a real thing, a very, very real thing, where Batman has to deal with it, and that makes sense for him not to kill. I will say this though, I don't remember anyone dying specifically or being like straight up murdered in any of the Marvel movies. I'm sure people die. I think Captain America kills people.
Coulson.
He was killed by a bad guy.
You're talking about heroes killing?
Yeah. I think Captain America shoots people, but I don't really remember.
Iron Man shoots off rockets and shit all the time.
I guess so. But
again, they don't dwell on it.
Yeah,
they don't make it as like a set piece of. Yeah, and wait, Captain America kills people too. He's a soldier.
He's got to be, right? Yeah,
he's killing the shit out of Nazis.
See, those don't pop into my brain quite as vividly as
the one scene in
Superman.
Man of Steel. Yeah,
that last scene, and I think that was just tonally they're off a little bit. Hopefully, they can get back on track.
All right, I think this is the tone, and I'm accepting of it now. I'm interested to see where
the
tone's
good.
Goes.
The tone's good. The characters are the problem. The tone's not the problem.
That's true.
And I think that the more serious and grounded tone is going to be more successful if all things were equal. But they're not because they don't have characters.
That's
you know what I mean? That's the major fucking problem. People really do.
Is it the characters or is it the actors? Because I look at
I don't think it's the actors.
But when you say Iron Man, the reason Iron Man was so good was Robert Downey Jr.
Sure, but someone else could have done that Iron Man. It's not quite the way.
Cryer.
Yeah, John Cryer could have done an Iron Man. Not in the same way necessarily. It's just like you would never know because you're painted now by that being Iron Man. But they could have put someone else in that Iron Man movie and been totally fine. It's just a matter of, and it could have been bad too. I really think it's as someone who's kind of comes from the outside with comic books, it is the identifiability of the characters.
That's
true.
Know,
and
true.
They don't have like Batman and Superman are basically it. In terms of
Wonder Woman counts.
Not for this generation. Maybe for like a different generation and an older generation. I don't think I never heard. I'll be honest with you. Growing up as a kid, and I used to collect like superhero figures and stuff. Yeah. I was into Marvel for like a little while, like in the mid '90s because of my brother, and I used to collect like the X-Men figures and stuff. I don't think I ever heard anyone say the words Wonder Woman until I was at IGN. So like
I was in love with Linda Carter.
Yeah, so like it was like I never heard those words amongst my group of nerd friends. But we talk about Superman and Batman and whatever, X-Men and stuff like that. And I think that's so just from the outside, it's like I actually think both these universes are doomed ultimately to implode upon themselves because there's too much shit going on with all these movies and they cannot possibly sustain it. But I think that in terms of excitement level, it makes sense why people are more excited about Marvel because of the characters, because it's not very often that you find a piece of fiction where you're excited about the universe over the characters. I think for some reason what came to my mind the most was The Road, the Cormac McCarthy one, which is about it's about the father and son, but it's also about that fucked up world,
right?
And I actually think that with DC, it's actually more about those fucked up worlds and the villains. Like Batman himself was not even that interesting. It's just like that universe is interesting. Yeah, he's like the master detective and stuff like that. And it's awesome. But it's really the Joker and all of these
His
characters that are
rogues
like
Yeah.
the people that like are his foils that I think are even more interesting. And so I hope that they're able to focus on that more, because who knows like what the relevance of Aquaman is going to be? Probably not very relevant.
My gut tells me not very relevant. And to your point, Greg, I hope that they introduce him in such a way that's a little more organic and a little less we need to explain every single aspect. My big hope is that they don't do sort of the let's go on an adventure sort of movie where it's like, we're at an impasse. What do we do? Oh, look, it's a guy that just came out of the ocean. It's Aquaman. Let's talk to him. He helps us solve this one little bit. Maybe we'll recruit him to the team later.
Yeah.
It is hard, and they haven't, with the exception of Avengers, no one's really done an ensemble cast well. So, I don't know.
Get out of here, X-Men.
The
No,
fascinating.
I still stand by the fact that X-Men,
Those are Wolverine movies.
they were Wolverine movies, and he was the main character, and everyone else was sort of side characters. X-Men Last Stand was probably the best. Days of Future Past wasn't an ensemble cast per se. I mean, you're not seeing the X-Men come together.
Sure.
It was him, Beast, and Professor X, and they were trying to fight the three other different.
The future.
Yeah.
while
Like you said,
listening to the Moody Blues record, Days of Future Past.
exactly.
Yeah.
Those movies were good, but those were more just cool stories told straightforward about some comic book character or people rather that just happen to have these sort of special abilities. Yeah, it's really hard, and you're right. There's with the DC universe, and especially these characters, Colin, there are less degrees of gradation there with the characters. There's less gradient to their sort of depth.
It just seems to be the nature of that universe. I mean, and that's why I think going in that dark and dire and grounded direction is the only smart move to make. Like you can't if they try to be
I would
like
to see that. Yeah,
well, I
like
would
to see
too.
a
And
dark
if they try to be like Marvel, they will lose. So like you cannot go in that direction. You will lose. You know what I mean? You will lose. Like easily, they have nothing on Marvel in terms of character in terms of recognizing the characters, in terms of fusing these universes together, in terms of who's going first and who had the idea originally to do all this shit. What was Marvel, So like DC is playing catch up in all of these different ways. So you have to accept the status quo of these characters and either change who Superman is or make it so that you can wedge into a more of a Nolan style universe is what these movies should do, and that will differentiate them. And then you give the same audience two different things, because you make this like that, then they're going to compare this and that, and this will lose. You know what I mean? Because how can you outdo the Avengers? How can you outdo Guardians of the Galaxy? All these things that people are fucking nuts about. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really do, and I kind of, looking back on it, I think it was a grave misstep to try to fall. See, I think it was a misstep to try to fall in line with what Nolan set up. I would have liked, especially since I would like to see a Batman movie that would have started this whole thing off that was a lot more fantastical.
Oh, not me.
I would have loved to see. I don't mean campy. I mean, I want to see Batman do the things he does in the animated series. I haven't seen that yet.
The animated series. The
and
animated
stuff?
series is great.
I want to see that.
Clayface.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
fight a
to
character,
me,
yeah.
the DC universe should be more fantastical. It should make sense that Batman and Superman are in the same universe. Even though Batman's a dude, he's Batman. So there's something special about him. We can't put our finger on it. Yeah, he trains, whatever. It doesn't matter. He's Batman. We believe that even though he's a normal person, he is really, let's be honest, he's a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
Like, the guy has superpowers.
Sure.
I want to see that. I want to see him flipping around in the air. I want to see him making that catch of the vial above the stadium and, the animated series as he's swinging on the rope and tosses it over to Robin. I want to see that sort of the highfalutin sort of fantastic world, and we haven't seen it yet. I don't give a shit that Batman, wears armor. That's cool. You know what's cooler to me? That he never gets shot because he's so fast. He comes out of the shadows and just fucks people up and goes right back into the shadows. And you're like, what was that? Was that a wraith?
Yeah.
Was that the devil coming to tell me that I've
devil?
sinned? No, it was the Batman, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm waiting for that. I would love to see, and what's funny about that is Zack Snyder directing a Batman movie would have been like that. But maybe that's what this will be. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
2016.
I'm super interested to see. I don't know, man. I don't agree with the sense that the groundedness is what made those movies special. And like I said, that I think that the campy stuff from the 90s with Batman was great, and the animated series, which I think was a fusion of the two, which like of the 89 style and the campy mid 90s style was awesome. It was great, but like I like Batman for the same reason I like Indiana Jones, which is because like I wanted to be Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You can and you felt like you could be Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
or you could be Batman because he's just a dude with means. You can't be Superman.
Yeah, but see, I think
You know what I mean? Like-
I think that real raw aspect fell apart toward the third movie. It worked really well in the second movie, not because it was a Batman movie, because it had a great villain and an interesting, really kind of messed up story. If you go back and watch Batman Begins, he's a lot more sort of not whimsical is a bad word, but he's a lot less grounded in that movie than he is in Dark Knight. In Dark Knight, all he does is like He gets the cool new armor. He's got the motorcycle.
You want to be able to turn your head.
That was really it's spot on these days.
I've been working on it. Workshops. A lot of Morgan Freeman workshops I've been going to.
It's good. Yeah. But even when he does the airlift stuff, I mean that's all very technical, but it wasn't that crazy impressive. And then it starts to fall apart when he like does the grenade thing through the window, grabs the guy, and airlifts out. That wasn't fantastical to you. That was awesome. It was cool. Those were good parts. It had good moments. I will say that. But it didn't have that.
I'm quite good.
It didn't have the moment where he sort of looks over at the Rachel Dawes character and he's like, he says the stupid line. It's a dumb line, right? It's not who you are. It makes you do. It's what you do that makes you who you are. And you're like,
that's it. Nailed it. Word for word.
It's like Bruce. And he jumps, he jumps off that balcony and he flies, right? He does the Batman sort of like cowl spread fly, and you're like, that's Batman. That's so cool. But then, we brought it back so down to, ground, to zero as far as or 100% as far as realism is concerned with Dark Knight, that when we get to a character like Bane that is so completely outrageous, you're like, what the shit is happening between these two characters? And then it's like, Bane can just do anything. And it's like, Batman, like throw something at the dude. Use an explosive in your belt to blow this guy up. Like, I don't think something.
I don't. Well, this topic will go on forever. So
I was going to say.
I was just saying. I don't see
Batman.
I don't see how Batman, or I don't see how Bane is any less or more grounded than Scarecrow or Joker in those movies. Like they're all they're all just fucking psychopaths.
But see, the logic of the world. What happened was they kept trying to deal with like logic. Right? We're setting this character up so that he can legitimately do all these things. So we have to abide by the logic that we're setting up, and it just started to destroy itself as we went into the third movie. Nothing about that movie makes sense. Nothing about it is logical. He breaks his back, for Christ's sake. Like he's a man that at the beginning of the movie can barely walk, and then by the end of it he's up and fighting and things like that. It's like,
yes, brother.
There's nothing that they told me about Batman that would allow him to do that, other than he's got willpower, but at the same time he broke his freaking back.
Yeah.
6 months in traction in a freaking hole in the ground, God knows where, and he comes back and he's good to go. I don't know.
Oh.
Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like
anything with a chorus.
Yeah, just any song, song, like where you'll sing. It's like, you ought to know by now, you ought to know by, and then like Greg's already singing the next verse, and I'm like, Greg, you have to like. I'm like, just like in your head, just think about the way the song sounds and try to replicate it. You're not just saying the words.
Try to sing on beat.
There's no beat. I meant march to the beat of my own drum.
You do indeed, my friend.